Hello there. Happy Day of the Dead and Daylight Savings. Make sure to switch the time on those clocks if you have not already, and if the clock does not do it automatically. Also, I'm gonna say it in Spanish, Feliz Dia de los Muertos. Today, we will be discussing an important case that deserves to shine light on. In February 2020, a young man named Ahmaud Arbery went for a run through the quiet streets of Satilla Shores, a neighborhood outside of Brunswick, Georgia. He never made it home. What began as a daily jog turned into one of the most shocking acts of racial violence in America, and a case that exposed the deep flaws within the justice system of Glynn County. Ahmaud Arbery was 25 years old. He was black. He loved sports, worked out often, and dreamed of becoming an electrician. On February 23rd, 2020, while jogging through the neighborhood, he was confronted by three white men: Gregory McMichael, his son Travis McMichael, and their neighbor William Bryan, known as Roddie. They claimed that they suspected Arbery of recent break-ins in the neighborhood. There were no such reports at the time, however. Travis McMichael shot Arbery 3 times with a shotgun after a brief struggle caught on Bryan's cell phone. Before the shooting, they had been chasing him with their vehicles. Travis had been driving one of the cars, with Gregory McMichael in the backseat of that car on a children's car seat. And in the other car, Roddie was driving. Travis and Gregory had both been pointing guns at Ahmaud. That video Roddie recorded went viral months later, sparking national outrage, demands for justice, and ultimately new hate crime laws in Georgia. For more than 2 months, no arrests were made. Gregory McMichael had been working as an investigator for the district attorney's office of Glynn County. He was a retired police officer. This led to major conflicts of interest. The prosecutor, Jackie Johnson, recused herself, but reportedly advised police not to arrest the McMichaels nor Roddie, a decision that would later end her career. Once the video leaked online in May 2020, the GBI arrested Gregory and Travis McMichael. The arrest occurred on May 7th at their home in Glynn County. Both had been meeting up to have dinner when the agents randomly showed up to take them. Both were booked at the Glynn County Jail on formal charges of murder and aggravated assault. Roddie was arrested 2 weeks later and charged with the same offenses for joining the chase and recording the encounter. He was arrested as he was getting back home from work. He worked at a hardware store. All three were processed at the Glynn County Jail where they would await trial at. Magistrate Wallace Harrell of the Glynn County Magistrates Court ordered that the trio remain in jail without bond. Meanwhile, DA Jackie Johnson and prosecutor George Barnhill were tied to their own criminal probes for obstruction. Deputy Attorney General Chris Carr and lead prosecutor John Fowler presented the probes to a grand jury in Glynn County. One of the probes being about the racist trio who had killed Ahmaud Arbery because he was black. The other probe being about these two prosecutors who tried their best to obstruct in order to not get these three racists in trouble. They wanted these three white men to get away with killing a black person for no reason. Therefore, three grand juries at the Glynn County Superior Court reviewed the cases. Jackie Johnson lost her bid for re-election in November 2020 and thus left office after that election. George Barnhill was subject to a recall, in 2020, but the recall did not go to an election. And I did not find firm evidence that he resigned from office as a result of that case. For the leadership of the department, the then chief of the Glynn County Police Department, Jack West Battisti, did resign from his position in December 2022. The rest of the officers were never disciplined at work for listening to Johnson, not taking enough care of Ahmaud, who had just been shot, and not arresting the racist trio. This racist trio was tied to a federal criminal probe in the Southern District of Georgia. DOJ prosecutors Tara Lyons, Christopher Perez, and Alicia Cook together presented it to a grand jury at the Brunswick Federal Court. On June 24, 2020, a Glynn County grand jury formally indicted the racist trio on 9 counts each: malice murder for a felony murder, 2 of aggravated assault, false imprisonment, and a criminal attempt to commit false imprisonment. They later faced federal hate crime and attempted kidnapping charges, with the DOJ alleging that their actions were motivated by racism due to Ahmaud Arbery having been black. The 4 grand juries successfully reached their decisions. Prosecutor George Barnhill was not indicted on any charges. DA Jackie Johnson was indicted on state felony charges, oath violation and obstruction. Barnhill and Johnson had gotten private defense. The racist trio had gotten a public defense. The indictments were unsealed, including the one of the 4th grand jury at the federal court. This federal grand jury indicted the racist trio mainly on 2 offenses: the hate crime and the kidnapping. Both the McMichaels got an extra firearms offense added onto that indictment as well. The racist trio pleaded not guilty to the state charges before Timothy Walmsley, a judge of the Glynn County Superior Court, and DA Jackie Johnson pleaded not guilty in that court before Chief Superior Court Judge Stephen Scarlett. The racist trio for the federal case pleaded not guilty before Magistrate Benjamin Cheesebro at the Brunswick Federal Court. The state trial for the 3 racists took place in fall 2021 in Brunswick, Georgia, before Glynn County Superior Court Judge Timothy Walmsley. The courtroom was packed with national media, civil rights leaders, and Arbery's grieving family. There were 2 viral trials at the time: the one of Kyle Rittenhouse and this trial regarding Ahmaud Arbery's death. Prosecutors argued that Arbery was hunted down and murdered for simply being a black man in a white neighborhood. The defense claimed the McMichaels were attempting a citizen's arrest and acted in self-defense when Arbery reached for Travis's gun. This racist white trash trio is known to have as well been rude to Diego, a Latino man in the neighborhood. The jury, consisting of 11 white jurors and 1 black juror, deliberated for 10 hours before reaching a verdict on November 24, 2021. They were all confident, and there were 4 alternates that did not have to be used. Travis McMichael was found guilty on all charges. Gregory was found guilty on all charges except for one of them, malice murder. He was acquitted on that. Bryan was found guilty on felony murder and false imprisonment. No motions for mistrial or acquittal succeeded. In January 2022, Judge Walmsley sentenced Travis and Gregory McMichael to life in prison without parole, plus 20 years. On the other hand, Bryan received a life with the possibility of parole, and under Georgia state law, in order for him to get parole, he has to complete a minimum of 30 years. All 3 were also convicted in the federal case for hate crimes and attempted kidnapping and the firearms offense. Another jury of 12 members and 4 alternates reached this conviction. And in August that year, as the Free had been convicted on every federal charge, they received more sentences. Each received additional life sentences, ensuring they would remain in prison even if their state convictions were overturned. The McMichaels both got no parole, and Roddie got a total of 35 years. Meanwhile, former District Attorney Jackie Johnson was indicted in 2021 for violation of oath and obstruction. This would be the next trial that should have been viral. She pleaded not guilty before a Glynn County Superior Court judge, and her case remained pending for a while. She covered a hardware store worker who had been writing racist messages on Facebook, and two other people who did so as well: Gregory McMichael, the retired police officer who would work for her at the DA's office, and Travis McMichael, who was in the military. The Free somehow got defenses and somehow had, at least for the McMichaels, high positions in society. Even though they did not watch their language, they yelled out N-words at this poor victim, Ahmaud Arbery, even shouted out the F-word at him. They did not even know him and they were insulting him, and if you look at their mugshots, you could tell that they are clearly white trash. I'm surprised this occurred in Georgia. At first, when I saw those pictures, I thought it was Ohio or West Virginia, and seeing that video that went viral of the shooting really hurts to watch. Ahmaud Arbery's death became a catalyst for justice reform, leading Georgia to repeal its citizens' arrest law and adopt a hate crime statute for the first time in history. The case revealed how systemic bias can delay justice, but also how public accountability, video evidence, and persistence from ordinary citizens can change the course of a nation's conscience. Ahmaud Arbery should be alive today. His jog should have ended at home, not with a struggle on a suburban street. But his story did not end in silence. It forced America to look at itself again and to ask what justice really means when everyone is watching, and is this actually a free country? In January 2025, finally, the trial of Jackie Johnson, the DA, started. A jury of 12 members and 3 alternates was in charge of deciding her guilt. However, on the 28th day of that month, the trial officially kicked off. She testified on her behalf, but then Senior Judge John Turner of the Ogeechee Judicial Circuit Court, another venue, he accepted a motion by the defense and dismissed the case during trial. He set her free without letting the jury decide the verdict. As well, I would like to add that Ahmaud Arbery died in a cruel way. The Glynn County Coroner's Office confirmed that he had slowly bled to death, and that he could have been saved if treated in time. During Ahmaud Arbery's funeral at the Cavius Johnson Funeral Home in Waynesboro, Georgia, on the 28th day of that February month when he died, the killers were still free and they continued handing out on weekends. There was then a celebration of life a day after that at the New Springfield Baptist Church in the same town, followed by an internment there. He was buried at this church's cemetery. 2 police officers, Robert Rash and the chief, John Powell, did not quite reach justice. They were sued along with the Glynn County Police Department themselves, DA Johnson, Prosecutor Barnhill, and the McMichaels. All of them were defendants in a lawsuit initiated by Ahmaud's mom, Wanda Cooper Jones. This lawsuit was pursued in civil court, and these defendants faced another lawsuit by the mom at the Brunswick Federal Court. However, Later on, everything was merged together in the federal court. There was no longer a civil case. It was due to many complaints and protests that the GBI did the work for the Glynn County Police Department. They do not stand for racism. The racist trio got away with their crimes for weeks. That federal lawsuit remains ongoing. The racist trio have appealed their convictions at both the state and federal level, and the matters remain pending. The three killers were sent after sentencings to a reception center in the Georgia State Prison System as part of their intake process. This was the classification prison in Jackson. As of now, Travis is currently incarcerated at the Hayes State Prison in Tryon. Gregory at the Augusta State Medical Prison, at the Valdosta State Prison, and Jackie and George Barnhill. They remain free, as justice never reached them. This has been Strawberry Inc. Thank you so much for listening. May Ahmaud Arbery rest in peace. Have a good rest of your day and a good holiday season.